Ryan's office revenge.
You're basically a dinosaur with a clipboard. That's what Ashton Pierce said to me on a Tuesday morning in my own office. Well, it was my office for 17 years. It was his office for about 8 weeks, but he was the one standing and I was the one being told to pack up. So I guess that made it his. My name is Eddie Hawkins. I'm 47 years old, and until that Tuesday morning, I'd spent the last 17 years making sure $14 billion in cargo moved through Gulf Shore Terminal Authority without the board ever understanding how. The humidity was thick that morning, typical Houston summer. You could see the heat waves rising off the concrete dock through my office window. Container cranes stretching into the haze like steel giants. The sound of the port was my soundtrack. Crane alarms, diesel engines, the deep horn blasts echoing across the ship channel. That was my world. Ashton walked in at 7:52 a.m. He didn't knock, had some HR woman behind him, holding a tablet, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Ashton didn't sit down, just stood there in his slim-fit suit and designer sneakers that had never touched dock pavement. Eddie, he said, checking his Apple Watch twice before he even started talking. We're implementing a digital transformation initiative. Your position has been optimized out. He said it like he was reading a PowerPoint slide, then came the line I'll never forget. We're paying a director's salary for a man who essentially plays Tetris with boats. 17 years of manual processes pretending to be management. That's how he put it. The HR woman's eyes stayed glued to her tablet. I looked at Ashton for about 3 seconds, didn't argue. Picked up my logbook from the desk, small black notebook, worn edges, 17 years of shorthand, vessel names, tide windows, crane rotations, my life's work and chicken scratch that nobody else could read. I slid it into my back pocket, left my badge on the desk, and walked out. Before Gulf Shore Terminal, I was United States Marine Corps for 12 years. Logistics coordination specialist. My job was moving supplies through some of the nastiest places on Earth. Iraq, Afghanistan, keeping convoys moving when a miscalculation didn't mean a late delivery. It meant body bags, made Staff Sergeant EE6. I was good at holding multiple moving pieces in my head and knowing where each one would be 72 hours out. When I got out at 30, Gulf Shore hired me because I could look at a harbor full of container ships and see the chess game 3 moves ahead. Which vessel needs which berth at which tide, which crane is available, which customs team clears faster on Thursday mornings, which longshoreman crew runs 15% faster when the Astros won the night before. I could sequence 50 container ships simultaneously, from memory, not from software, from 17 years of watching, listening, and remembering. 220 shipping dispatchers across 12 countries knew my voice. I knew that Chen in Shanghai always adds 4 hours to his transit estimates because he's paranoid about delays. I knew that Rodriguez in Veracruz won't book Friday departures because his brother died on a Friday 10 years ago. I knew that if you call the harbor pilots by their first names and ask about their kids, they respond 20% faster. None of this was documented. It didn't need to be. I was always there. The sound of that port was in my blood. Crane hydraulics cycling through their sequences. Container locks slamming into place with that metallic clang. The deep rumble of a Panamax engine vibrating up through the dock into your chest. Marine radio chatter crackling from the speaker mounted behind my desk. That was my world. Every day for 17 years, I kept it moving. Last football season, my son Cody, 17, starting linebacker for Pearland High, had his biggest game of the season. State scouts were coming to watch. A chemical tanker emergency pulled me to the operations center at 3 a.m. and kept me there until the next morning. Linda, my wife, texted me a photo of Cody after his 3 tackles and an interception. His first time getting college attention. I was staring at vessel tracking screens when it happened. Still have that photo on my phone. Look at it more than I'll admit. Linda works hospital administration at Methodist. She's been fighting breast cancer for 3 years now. Surgery, chemo, the whole nightmare. She understood the port life, understood the 3 a.m. phone calls, but she told me 2 years ago I should leave Gulf Shore, find something with better work-life balance. I didn't listen. That made everything harder. Not that she complained. She just brought me dinner wrapped in foil when I couldn't leave the ops center. Now let me tell you about Ashton Pierce, 26 years old, MIT Business Analytics degree, class of 2021. Before Gulf Shore, he spent 8 months at a consulting firm called Data Stream Solutions. Their biggest client was optimizing delivery routes for pizza chains. The most complex vessel Ashton Pierce had ever routed was a DoorDash driver. His uncle is Ronald Pierce, chairman of the Gulf Shore Terminal Authority Board. Ronald created the VP of Digital Operations position specifically for Ashton. The position didn't exist before him. It was invented to give a 26-year-old with soft hands and 0 maritime experience a title that sat above mine. Ashton arrived 8 weeks before he fired me. His first move was a presentation to the board, Gulf Shore 2.0, a smart port initiative. 47 slides about scalable logistics, AI-driven optimization, legacy system elimination. He ordered new scheduling software, a $3.2 million platform designed for warehouse management, not deep water container terminals. He never walked the docks, never sat in the operations center during a vessel surge at midnight, never asked me how the current system worked. He didn't ask because he assumed there was nothing to ask. He looked at me and saw an old Marine pushing papers around. After he fired me, Ashton sent a company-wide email. Exciting changes ahead. Gulf Shore Terminal is entering the digital age. We're transitioning from legacy manual processes to a fully automated, scalable scheduling platform. He posted on LinkedIn that same day. Day 1 of Gulf Shore's digital transformation. Proud to lead the charge. Innovation Logistics Smart Port that evening. Sitting in my F-250 in the Gulf Shore parking lot, my phone buzzed. Text from Garrett Stone, Senior Operations Supervisor, 18 years alongside me, former Navy himself. Garrett had gotten hold of an email Ashton sent to the board 3 days before my firing. The subject line was Operational Restructuring Phase 1. Most of it was buzzword garbage, but one line stopped me cold. I've seen cargo apps on my phone more sophisticated than what Hawkins does manually. We're paying 6 figures for a man who essentially plays Tetris with boats. I read it twice. Set the phone down next to my work gloves and safety vest that had been riding shotgun for 5 years. The Gulf was calm that evening. Container ships lined up at anchor like they were waiting for something. I sat there for a while, engine off, windows down, listening to the foghorns. Something shifted inside me. Not anger. I'd been angry before. This was clarity. The kind that doesn't burn, just settles like morning mist lifting off the water. I started the engine and drove home. That Tuesday night, Linda knew before I said a word. She always knows. Put a plate in front of me, grilled chicken, rice, green beans, the Tuesday rotation we'd had for 15 years, and waited. Cody came through the kitchen around 9, gym bag over his shoulder, saw my face and paused. "You okay, Dad?" "Yeah." He looked at me a second longer than usual, then nodded and went upstairs. Smart kid knows when to leave a room. Linda waited until we heard his door close. "They fired you." "Yeah, Ashton." She set her coffee down, didn't touch it again. "What are you going to do?" "Don't know yet." I spent Wednesday at the kitchen table with my logbook open, not reading it, just holding it. 17 years of shorthand, berth assignments, tide schedules, crane rotations. To anyone else, it looked like a dead language. To me, it was the operating manual for the 3rd largest container terminal on the Gulf Coast. Every page was a week. Every week was 45 ships sequenced, routed, docked, unloaded, and cleared without a single collision or delay. I closed the notebook, set it beside my coffee mug, looked out the kitchen window toward the harbor. You can see the cranes from our house if you stand in the right spot. Thursday morning, my phone rang. Caller ID said Roy Daniels. Captain Daniels is the executive director of Galveston Maritime Complex, 58 years old, former Navy captain, 28 years in. Our paths crossed in Iraq, different units, same supply chain nightmares. For 6 years straight, Roy had approached me at the Texas Maritime Conference with the same question. Every year, same polite refusal. I liked Gulf Shore. Thought loyalty was a two-way street. Eddie, Roy's voice was gruff, as always. "I've been asking you the same question for 6 years. Answer was always no. This time, I need a different answer." He'd heard. Of course he'd heard. The Gulf Coast maritime world is small. News that Gulf Shore had fired their operations director traveled faster than a storm warning. "Roy, I just got canned 2 days ago. Haven't even processed it yet. Chief Executive Officer, Galveston Maritime Complex. Full operational authority over the entire port complex. $24 million over 5 years. Performance bonuses tied to throughput growth. You run the operations, I handle the politics. That's the offer. $24 million. I was quiet long enough that Roy said, "You still there?" "I'm here. Give me 24 hours." That evening, I told Linda at dinner. Same kitchen table where we'd eaten 6,000 meals, same view of the ship channel through the window above the sink. I laid out Roy's offer. CEO position, $24 million over 5 years, full authority 30 miles from our front door. She looked at me the way she looks at medical bills, already knowing the answer but checking the math anyway. "You're asking if you should take it." I'm asking why it took them so long to call. I called Roy the next morning. "I'll take it." Started at Galveston Maritime within 2 weeks. They gave me an office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire harbor complex. Corner office on the 8th floor. From those windows, I could see everything. The ship channel, the container yards, the crane operations, vessels moving in and out like pieces on a board I'd been studying my whole career. My first week, I opened my logbook and started calling, not corporate offices, not logistics VPs, not the suits who sign contracts in boardrooms, the dispatchers, the 220 people I'd spoken to almost daily for 17 years. The ones who decide at 2 a.m. which port gets which ship when schedules go sideways. Chen in Shanghai, Rodriguez in Veracruz, Nielsen in Rotterdam, Marcus in Liverpool who never trusts weather reports, Johansson in Amsterdam who books extra time for everything because he's survived 3 hurricanes. These weren't just business contacts. They were relationships built on trust. One conversation at a time. I didn't pitch Galveston, didn't sell. Just told them where I was now. Chen, it's Eddie Hawkins. I'm at Galveston Maritime now. Same number, same me. When you're ready to talk, I'm here. Chen called back in 30 minutes. Didn't ask about rates or berth availability. Just said, about time you moved somewhere that appreciated you. Rodriguez called the next day. Nielsen called that evening. One by one, they called back. Within 45 days, $8 billion in annual cargo commitments had been verbally redirected to Galveston Maritime Complex. Not because we offered better rates. Not because we had superior infrastructure. Because when these dispatchers called my number, I picked up. I remembered their vessels, their crews, their particular requirements. I knew Rodriguez's ships drew 48 feet and needed berths dredged to 52. I knew Chen's cargo manifests had to be filed by 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, not when the vessel cleared the breakwater. I was the system. The system moved with me. While I was rebuilding the network at Galveston, Gulf Shore was hemorrhaging. Garrett Stone kept me updated through short texts, no commentary needed. Just facts. Day 1, the automated platform assigned 2 ultra-large container vessels to the same berth at the same tide window. Garrett caught it manually before the harbor pilots launched. Fixed it himself, texted me 2 words already started. Day 2. Software didn't account for Crane 7 being down for hydraulic repairs, assigned it to handle 3 different vessels. Nobody told the software which equipment was operational. Nobody knew to tell the software. A 3-hour delay cascaded into 6 hours. 2 vessels missed their tide windows. Day 4. The Longshoremen's Union filed a grievance. The shift assignments generated by Ashton's software ignored 15 years of informal agreements I'd negotiated with the crew foremen. Those agreements weren't written in any manual. They were handshakes. Trust built over 17 years of showing up at 4 a.m. and earning respect from men who move steel containers for a living. The software just assigned bodies to time slots. The union saw it as a violation of workplace norms they'd honored since I started there. By day 8, 26 ships at anchor in the outer harbor. Ships that I would have sequenced through in a rolling rhythm now sat burning fuel and racking up anchorage fees. International dispatchers started calling Gulf Shore's operations center and got an automated phone tree designed for customer service, not maritime emergencies. They called my cell instead. I told each dispatcher the same thing, gently but firmly. I'm at Galveston Maritime now. Can't help with Gulf Shore anymore. But if you want to discuss bringing your next vessel here, I'm available. Week 2, 38 ships at anchor. The marine radio channels turned chaotic. Harbor pilots requesting priority berthing, vessel masters demanding immediate assignments, Coast Guard issuing traffic advisories for the Houston Ship Channel approach. Local news stations started running aerial footage, helicopters showing the backlog stretching toward the horizon like a maritime traffic jam. Ashton held an emergency meeting with his operations staff and blamed software integration challenges. He used the word scalable 4 times during a 10-minute presentation. His LinkedIn post was still live, day 1 of Gulf Shore's digital transformation. Proud to lead the charge, by week 3, the comment section under that post had turned ugly. Longshoremen, dispatchers, people who'd worked the docks for decades. One comment from a retired harbor pilot read, "You fired the only man who knew how to run that terminal and replaced him with a pizza delivery app. Good luck with your transformation." Ashton never deleted the post. I think he didn't know how to admit he should. Week 4, 47 ships at anchor. The Department of Transportation opened a preliminary inquiry into supply chain disruptions at Gulf Shore. Major retailers whose inventory moved through the terminal began filing formal complaints. Best Buy, Home Depot, Toyota companies whose quarterly profits depended on cargo flowing smoothly through Houston. Donna Walsh, Gulf Shore's CFO, walked into Ashton's office with a printout. I heard about it later from Garrett. "We've lost $622 billion in committed cargo in 4 weeks. She told Ashton, "The dispatchers aren't calling us anymore. They're calling Hawkins at Galveston." Ashton leaned back in the chair that used to be mine. "Then we'll find new dispatchers." Donna stared at him. She didn't respond. Didn't need to. She turned around, walked down the hall, and went straight to Ronald Pierce's office. Week 658 ships anchored in the Gulf shipping lanes. The Coast Guard issued a formal navigation warning. Commercial fishing boats couldn't access their normal routes. The Houston Pilots Association filed a safety complaint with the Maritime Administration. International shipping schedules were backing up from Houston to Singapore. $200 million in daily losses across the petrochemical corridor. Refineries couldn't get crude oil deliveries. Chemical plants couldn't ship finished products. The ripple effect hit the entire Gulf Coast economy. Week 8, 63 ships. The story made CNN Business. Houston port crisis threatens supply chain. They interviewed the Longshoremen's Union president, who said on camera, they got rid of the one man who made this place work and replaced him with a computer program. This is what happens when you value technology over people. That same week, 3 major shipping lines terminated their Gulf Shore contracts. Not suspended, terminated. Maersk, CMA, CGM, COSCO, done. Legal letters filed, berthing agreements voided, decades of relationships burned. Ronald Pierce convened an emergency board session on a Wednesday morning. I wasn't there, but the maritime industry is small. Word gets around. Donna Walsh presented first. She'd prepared a 25-page analysis, but the board only needed the first slide. 78% throughput reduction, $12 billion in rerouted cargo commitments, accelerating decline trajectory. The numbers spoke for themselves. Gulf Shore had dropped from 3rd to 8th among Gulf Coast terminals in 8 weeks. Federal investigators were requesting operational records, scheduling logs, personnel decisions. They wanted to understand how a port that handled $14 billion in annual cargo had collapsed in 2 months. The board turned on Ronald like wolves. 7 commissioners who had rubber-stamped the creation of Ashton's position, who had nodded through his 47-slide presentation about smart port initiatives, who had approved the $3.2 million software purchase. Those 7 commissioners now saw Ronald as the man who had handed his 26-year-old nephew the controls of a $14 billion operation and told him to fly. Ronald didn't fight. He couldn't. He'd created the position. He'd hired Ashton. He'd approved my termination. Every decision that led to this disaster had his signature on it, and federal investigators would find every document. Ronald fired Ashton that Friday. No company announcement, no LinkedIn farewell, no pursuing other opportunities press release. Ashton cleared out his office, the office that had been mine for 17 years, and his for 8 weeks on a Friday afternoon. Garrett watched from the loading dock, said Ashton carried one small cardboard box to his white Audi sedan, still had dealer plates, a car that had never been within 200 yards of working cargo equipment, never felt the vibration of a crane unloading 20-foot containers, never been parked next to the pickup trucks that actual port workers drove. Garrett said Ashton's tires spun in the gravel leaving the executive parking lot, couldn't get traction, had to reverse and try again. 2 weeks later, Gulf Shore Terminal was placed under federal oversight. The Department of Transportation appointed an administrator to take operational control. Career maritime professional, 32 years managing ports from Long Beach to Savannah. He arrived Monday morning, toured the container yards, reviewed the automated scheduling disaster, and called an all-hands meeting. His first question to the remaining staff, who was running vessel coordination before the software implementation. Silence around the conference table. Then everyone pointed toward the empty chair at the head of the table where I used to sit. The federal administrator closed his notebook and said, "Copy that. So you fired your operating system and replaced it with warehouse management software. Outstanding." Meanwhile, 30 miles east at Galveston Maritime Complex, our terminal was humming. 18 months after I started there, we had surpassed Gulf Shore's historical peak throughput. Not their current devastated numbers, their all-time best performance from their strongest year, when I was still running their operation. $0.8 billion in annual cargo commitments redirected to Galveston. Market share increased 44%. Several former Gulf Shore supervisors had followed me, including Garrett Stone, who called me on a Sunday evening and said, "I'm done watching that place die." You got room for an old Navy operations specialist? I had room. I always had room for Garrett. The Texas Maritime Conference that fall invited me to deliver the keynote address. I declined. I don't need a podium to do my job. The dispatchers know where I am, and that's the only audience that matters. 6 months after Ashton's firing, my phone rang on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. Caller ID showed Ronald Pierce. I was in my corner office at Galveston Maritime, watching 2 container ships navigate the channel while a third waited for pilot escort to the berth. The operations center down the hall buzzed with controlled activity, my people coordinating with dispatchers across 4 time zones, the kind of synchronized precision that takes years to build. Ronald's voice sounded hollow, older than his 64 years. Eddie, I know what we did was wrong, dead wrong. Would you consider consulting for Gulf Shore during the federal transition? We need someone who understands how things actually work. I watched a tugboat guide a Maersk vessel toward berth 12, perfect timing, perfect positioning. The kind of operation that looks simple to outsiders but requires dozens of moving parts working in harmony. I appreciate the call, Ron, but I've made commitments here. I don't break those. Click 7 words that carried 18 months of consequences. He'd had 17 years of my commitments and thrown them away because his nephew called me a dinosaur. Now he wanted them back, and the answer was the simplest sentence I'd ever spoken. Ashton Pierce, last I heard, joined a logistics startup in Austin, junior analyst position. The company folded within 6 months, underfunded, overpromised, the usual Silicon Valley story. His LinkedIn profile still lists former VP Digital Operations, Gulf Shore Terminal Authority with employment dates showing exactly 8 weeks. Anyone in the maritime industry who sees that resume knows the story. The guy who fired Eddie Hawkins and killed a port in 2 months. He's 27 now. Maybe he'll learn something from this. Maybe he won't. Not my concern anymore. It was a Saturday in October, perfect Texas football weather. Clear skies, 78 degrees, just enough breeze to keep the humidity manageable. I drove my F-250 to Pearland High School for Cody's district championship game. Got there early, bought my ticket, found Linda in the home side bleachers. She'd taken the whole day off from Methodist Hospital. First Saturday off in 2 months. Her latest scans came back clean 3 weeks ago. 3 years cancer-free. We don't use the word cured yet, but we're calling it victory. Cody emerged from the locker room tunnel in his Pearland Oilers uniform, number 52, starting linebacker and team captain. He scanned the stands the way athletes do, found me in section C, row 8, didn't wave or smile, just gave me the slightest nod. I nodded back. The game was everything high school football should be. Cody recorded 9 tackles, 2 sacks, and broke up a crucial 4th down pass in the final quarter. College scouts from Texas A&M, Rice, and University of Houston filled 3 rows behind the home bench, clipboards out, stopwatches clicking. 4th quarter, Pearland up by 6, visiting team driving for the winning touchdown. Cody read the quarterback's eyes, jumped the route, and intercepted the pass at the 12-yard line with 47 seconds remaining. Game over, district champions. The crowd erupted. Linda grabbed my arm, squeezed hard enough to leave marks. I just sat there watching my son get mobbed by his teammates, thinking about all the games I'd missed for port emergencies that seemed so critical at the time. After the game, the 3 of us walked across the parking lot to my truck. Cody carried his equipment bag and wore his headphones, cooling down the way he does after big games. Climbed into the back seat and closed his eyes, letting the adrenaline fade. I took the scenic route home past Galveston Bay and the maritime complex. Through the windshield, we could see the container crane silhouetted against the sunset, still working under floodlights. Lowing a vessel bound for Hamburg, unloading another from Shanghai. My cranes now, my terminal. My people running operations that keep global commerce flowing through Texas waters. Linda's hand rested on my arm. Cody's breathing had settled into the steady rhythm of exhausted satisfaction. The harbor lights reflected off the water in long, shimmering columns of gold and orange. None of us spoke. The evening did all the talking necessary. 3 days later, Cody signed his letter of intent to play football at Texas A&M on a full scholarship. Academic and athletic. Marine engineering major. He wants to understand how ports work, he told me. Wants to build better systems than the ones his old man learned to operate. Smart kid. The future belongs to people who understand both technology and the human element. You need the software, but you also need someone who knows that Chen in Shanghai adds 4 hours to every estimate, and Rodriguez in Veracruz won't schedule Friday departures. You need someone who answers the phone at 2 a.m. when the schedules go sideways and $200 million worth of cargo sits waiting for decisions that can't be made by algorithms. The automated systems will get smarter, the software will improve. But at the end of the day, global commerce runs on relationships, trust, and the kind of expertise that takes decades to develop. Ronald Pierce resigned from the Port Authority Board 6 months after the federal takeover. Ashton moved back to Boston, works for a consulting firm that optimizes supply chains for grocery stores. Gulf Shore Terminal is still under federal oversight, slowly rebuilding operations with a new management team that includes several former students of mine. They're doing fine, not great, but fine. It'll take them years to rebuild the relationships they destroyed in 8 weeks. Linda goes to work every morning knowing our health insurance is solid and our retirement is funded. Cody focuses on football and engineering courses without worrying about college costs. I show up at Galveston Maritime every day knowing that 220 dispatchers across 12 countries trust me to keep their cargo moving safely. If you've ever been called obsolete by someone who couldn't do your job for 5 minutes, if you've ever watched an experience get promoted over expertise, if you've ever seen technology deployed without understanding, then you know how this story feels. The human touch still matters in this digital age. Experience can't be downloaded, trust can't be automated. And sometimes the best revenge is simply proving that some things, the important things, still require people who know what they're doing. Your expertise has value. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise.